What the hell are you guys doing here? Hi, HBSA.
Hello, Professor Brady. We're here to ask you a couple questions today. Are you free to do so?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I'll do it.
Okay, perfect. So our first question for you is, what's your secret talent no student knows about?
Well, I don't know if it's a talent, but I like to do cartoon illustrations.
Ooh. Okay, and our second question is, if you could start any business tomorrow, what would it be?
A podcast for middle-aged people.
For middle-aged people?
Yeah.
Sounds good. And what's the most unusual item in your office?
A clean stack of papers.
And where is that?
It's at my home office.
Sounds
It's a
good.
disaster. So unusual would be having a nice, neat stack.
Which entrepreneur do you think would survive in a zombie apocalypse?
Oh, Elon Musk, because he is a zombie.
What's your guilty pleasure after a long day of lectures?
Oh, audiobooks and FaceTiming with my grandson.
Oh, that's so adorable. If you could teach a class on any topic outside of business, what would it be?
Mental health, taking care of your mental health.
Mm. What's the best place to eat on campus?
Well, the place I go to every day is Cafe Think. If I expanded it broader, I'd say the Gather restaurant right off campus. Fantastic.
I had pizza there before. It's fantastic. The
Yes.
brunch pizza is amazing.
Yes.
Definitely. If you had to choose another profession other than marketing and teaching, what would it be?
An author.
For what?
I'd write novels.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Or be a swim instructor. Either one.
Swim instructor?
Yeah.
Have you had experience in the past with it?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Growing up a lot before your time.
Mm-hmm. What's your most memorable student excuse for late homework?
Oh, I had an interesting one. A gal said that she can't turn her homework in because she wasn't feeling good. And I said, okay. She goes, I'm pregnant.
What? How would you invest 1 million in a fantasy business venture?
That would have to be my podcast. I'd have a great setting. And maybe 1 million would probably be too much. Business. Oh, I know. You know the thing that drives me crazy? When you order online, you can't use coupons.
Mm-hmm.
So I would invent some kind of software that allow you to use the coupons that you get and apply it to your order.
You should patent on that. I feel like people will steal that idea after. What's a book you love and it doesn't have to be business related?
Pride and Prejudice.
That's a good book.
Isn't it fantastic?
It is a fantastic book. I love reading it. It's very nostalgic. Which movie character would you make the best CEO?
Mulan.
Why?
Because she's fierce and she's a great leader and she just figured out what to do.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. What's your go-to order in Cafe Think?
Okay, I get the same thing every single time. It's the corn and bean quesadilla and a cup of ice because I always bring my contraband Coke Zero in to Cafe Think. They don't sell it there.
If you could go on a road trip with any business leader, who would it be?
It would be John Foraker, and he's one of the founders of Annie's Macaroni and Cheese. And he's an incredible businessman, people person, entrepreneur, and we would have so much fun.
What's a hobby that surprises people when they find out that you're into it?
Swimming.
Which app do you waste your time the most on?
Oh, Instagram. And well, it's a tie between Instagram and TikTok.
Oh, you have TikTok?
Mm-hmm.
You should check out our TikTok. We have HBSA TikTok.
Oh, really?
Yes, we do.
Okay, I will.
What's the best costume you've ever worn for Halloween?
Oh, this is terrible, but pregnant nun. And my boyfriend went as a priest.
If you could swap places with a student for a day, what would you do?
I'd be a student athlete,
For which sport?
swimming or water polo.
What's the most creative project you've assigned to your students?
Well, this wasn't my idea. There's a professor here named Diane Dwyer.
I love Diane Dwyer.
Isn't she the best?
She's the best. She only teaches in fall.
I know.
Her PR class is so amazing.
But she teaches, one of the things she teaches in order to get your brand, your personal brand, is to ask your family and friends for a series of F's and U's. I don't know if she did that with you. First and unique.
Yes, she did. First and unique was the most important thing she taught us.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. And the students really get into it, and I find out some amazing things about them.
Definitely. Okay. What song best describes your teaching style?
What song? Pharrell's Happy.
That's an amazing song choice. If you could start a podcast, what would it be about?
Oh, it would be about people middle-aged and older.
What's the best advice you've ever ignored?
My mother told me not to go to the beach when it was really rough waters. And I went anyway because I really wanted to go surfing. And I just about killed myself because of water. There's a big rip. I grew up in San Diego, so I spent a lot of time on the beach. And that was very scary. Should not have ignored it.
If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
Oh, Barack Obama, because he's the man.
He's the man. He's the standard.
Yes.
What's a trend you wish would come back?
Handwritten thank you notes.
I definitely agree with that. What's the strangest thing you've ever found in a lecture hall?
Well, this is kind of weird, but it was a sleeping bag with underwear on it.
Where?
In my marketing class.
Oh my. If your life was a book, what would this chapter be called?
Life in the middle lane. Yeah, not the slow lane, not the fast. Life in the middle lane.
Sounds like a good choice. What's the most interesting you've ever learned from a student?
How fun they can be. I'm trying to think, is there something else specific? I'll come back to that.
Okay, definitely. We'll bring that back. How do you think of the concept of office space will evolve?
I think it's been evolving in my career in business. It went from bullpens to private offices to bullpens again. And I suspect it's probably going to go back to more private offices. Not all private offices, but having a little bit more privacy for some people, or finding a way to give them privacy and not have just this gigantic room with no personal space.
Definitely. What's your favorite board game and why?
Pictionary, because I love to draw.
Definitely.
I'm not very good at it, but I love to draw.
It's a really funny game. If you could automate one part of your job, what would it be?
Grading.
Definitely. What's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten?
A snake.
Oh.
And I didn't know I was eating it, and someone tricked me into eating it.
What did they say it was?
Chicken.
If you could solve one world problem with a snap of your fingers, what would it be?
Oh, man's inhumanity to man.
What's a piece of outdated technology you miss?
There's not really anything I can think of that I miss. Can't really think of any technology that I was, when I think about it, I love all the technology. So I don't really miss anything that's not around. I was thinking, is it phones? No, no.
Nothing. Technology has just evolved to be better.
Yeah, I think so.
Definitely. How do you stay motivated?
Deadlines,
Deadlines?
deadlines.
Get lines?
No, deadlines.
Oh, deadlines. Definitely. I didn't know professors would have deadlines. What's a skill you think everyone should learn by 25?
Personal financial management.
Definitely. What's the most unexpected thing about being a professor?
How fun the students are.
If you could bring one fictional character to teach a guest lecture, who would it be?
Atticus Finch. Do you know who that is?
I don't,
To
it
Kill a
sounds,
Mockingbird?
yes.
Yes.
That's definitely, I do know that. If you could bring, oh wait, sorry. What's the best icebreaker you've used in class?
Um, One that's kind of fun, I'm going to have to use it again. I haven't used it for a little bit, is um, what is it? Two truths and a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to guess which one is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
So students get very creative.
Mm.
I love that one.
You should have grading on that. They'll try even harder. How would you describe your teaching philosophy in 3 words?
Oh, hopefully motivational, inspiring, and fun.
What's a country you've never been to but want to visit for business culture?
Sweden.
Really great choice. What's the most overused buzzword in business today?
Pivot.
Agreed.
If I hear pivot one more time, I'm going to lose my will to live.
If you had to pick a theme song for Haas, what would it be?
California dreaming. Mamas and the papas.
What's one prediction you have for the future of marketing?
I think it's going to turn into being hyper personalized. And it's going to be so much easier with AI and like things like Chat GPT that you'll be able to determine who your ultimate consumer should be and personalize things for them. So it feels like it's curated for them and not just some random, this is for anybody.
Mm-hmm. What's the funniest feedback you've received on a student's evaluation?
Oh, I was told that I was OG, and I had no idea what OG was. So I had to look it up, and that didn't help either because it meant original gangster.
If you could invent a new product, what problem would it solve?
World hunger.
What's the best way to unwind after finals week?
Well, the day after finals week this semester, I'm going to Hawaii.
Where? Which part of
I'm
Hawaii?
going to Kauai. I usually go to Maui,
Mm-hmm.
but this year I'm doing something different, going to Kauai.
Mm-hmm. How do you encourage students to think outside the box?
Force them to think outside the box.
Force?
Redefine the box.
Mm-hmm.
And ask them to do stuff that they might not be comfortable with.
Mm-hmm. What's a classic movie you think every business student should watch?
Oh, Searching for Bobby Fischer. Are you familiar with that?
No.
Okay, it's about a chess prodigy
Mm-hmm.
who is, his parents, his coach, everyone is constantly pushing him and not allowing him to be a 12-year-old boy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a phenomenal book. It's great for like helicopter parents and also for people who might be inclined to push themselves because of their parents. It's just a very eye-opening. It's probably 20 years old, but
Mm-hmm.
fantastic book.
Mm-hmm.
A movie, sorry.
Definitely. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna watch that tonight, honestly. What's your favorite part about the Berkeley culture?
How diverse it is and how worldly it is and how knowledgeable the students are about what's going on in the world. It's very impressive. And I think the culture breeds that. So I love that about it.
Hmm. If you had to teach a class in another language, which language would you choose?
It would be Spanish, and I'd have to teach preschool because that's about as far as my Spanish went.
What's the most valuable lesson you've learned from a failure?
Fix it.
Hmm.
I remember having a failure once when I was working at Clorox many years ago,
Hmm.
and I was mortified by it. And my boss came in, and I was thinking, I'm going to get fired. And he said, tell me about what happened. And I told him. He said, what would you do differently? And I told him. And he says, can you fix it? And I go, yeah.
Hmm.
He goes, okay, fix it. And I doubt you'll ever make that mistake again. And it was like the most energizing thing he could have said. And I had deep respect for him. And then I used that with all my employees after that. Don't immediately punish the failure. Figure out how you can learn from it and fix it, refine it.
Definitely. That's really good piece of advice that I'm sure all students would appreciate here as well. How do you think virtual reality will change marketing?
Oh, I think that's going to be huge. But I think it's also going to be a little tricky because there's going to be so much misinformation out there
Hmm.
because information is going to be so easy to um, get out that I think people are going to be, oh, wow, this is the latest and greatest,
Hmm.
as opposed to, is it the right thing for me? So I think we're going to be in store for a lot of change.
Hmm. Definitely. What's the biggest misconception people have about professors?
That they have all the answers.
They don't?
Heck no.
If you could only teach one more class for the rest of your career, what would it be?
It would probably have to be marketing, although I'd hate to give up on any of them.
Hmm.
Marketing just because that was my career in industry.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Sorry. What's a piece of advice for students that's not career related?
I would say watch out for your parents
Oh.
and watch out in two ways. One of them is, can you sit down and listen to them, not from the perspective of parenting tips so much as what was their life like,
Hmm.
and find out what they learned, what challenges they had.
Hmm.
Yeah, because my parents are gone and I miss the ability to talk to them.
Hmm.
And I wish I had spent more time just sitting down and finding out about their life.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. How do you balance tradition and innovation in your curriculum?
Whenever I hear about some new thing that's coming up and we have training on it, I'll sit through the training and then I'll try to figure out, does this innovation make sense for me to have in my classroom? Or does it make sense now? Some things I want to like jump on, and other things I think, you know what? Maybe I'll see how it works out in some other classrooms before I try it.
Hmm.
So I try to find a balance between what's novel and necessary versus what's novel.
Hmm. Definitely. What's the most inspiring story you've heard from an alumni?
Oh, it's got to be Robert Paler. Do you know him?
No.
Okay, so he played rugby for Cal, and he took a really tough hit and was a quadriplegic as a result of this. This happened about 4 years ago, and I had him in my class, And he was a DSP student, and he came in a wheelchair, and he didn't have use of his arms or legs. And I asked him, what can I do to make your time in this classroom better? And he said, all I need is a table that my wheelchair can fit under. I'm good. That was it. And he graduated, and he went through this most incredible rehab regime, and he was able to, with some support, walk across the stage and get his diploma. The students went crazy. And I still stay in touch with him. And what he has done, he's a motivational speaker, is ridiculously inspiring. Just amazing young man.
Definitely. Wish I was there to see that. If you could host a talk show, what would be your first 3 guests?
Could I have the Obamas as one guest? I'll have them as one guest. And then Steve Kerr, who's the coach of the Warriors, and then Taylor Swift, because I think she's done this remarkable job as a businesswoman.
I agree. What's the best way to celebrate a successful semester?
Get my grades in on time.
Definitely. How do you keep your lectures fresh year after year?
I spend an awful lot of time on them. And I figure out what's going on in industry and then try to fold that into my curriculum so that students don't think I'm teaching from 20 years ago. And you've got to keep it as fresh as possible because students know everything.
Yeah, young people these days. What's a personal goal you set for this year?
Oh, it was, I had been a swimmer for a long time, and I played water polo at Cal many years ago. And I decided I wanted to get back into swimming. So last fall, I made the plunge, and I swim 3 mornings a week now at a local high school pool, and it's been amazing.
Did you swim this morning?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Got up early to do it.
Yes, sir. If you could go back in time to witness any historical event, what would it be?
Oh, the celebrations after World War II.
Why is
that? My parents were part of that. My dad fought in the war. My mom was a Marine as well. And I remember looking at all the books and photographs and newsreels of what happened. And I said, wouldn't it be amazing to be part of this world event somehow and be able to watch it unfold? So that would be what I do.
Yeah, definitely. What's a simple joy that makes your day better?
It would have to be FaceTiming my grandson, who just turned 3, and drinking Coke Zero.
Good choice. What do you think social media would influence the next generation of entrepreneurs?
I think it's going to explode even further if that's possible. And entrepreneurs are going to take advantage of it because that's their medium for getting their message out. So it's not going away. It's going to get even bigger.
Definitely. What is the oddest job you've ever had?
Well, this is at UC Berkeley, and I was the manager of the bike lot. And you say, what is the bike lot, you ask? I don't think it's still there, but this is outside Moffett. Someone would bring their bike in, and instead of having to carry the chains around, they checked in their bike. I gave them a little ticket. I put a little clamp around their bike, and they parked their bike. They got out of the library, gave me the ticket. I removed the clamp, and away they go. And they loved it because the chains then were super heavy. So that was pretty weird. But what was great about it is there was a little kiosk there. And if it was raining, there weren't that many bikes. So I got to do a lot of homework in that kiosk outside in the rain.
When was this?
In the 70s.
1970s?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That is a long time.
Late 70s, I should say.
If your teaching style was a movie genre, what would it be?
A movie genre. Sometimes it's horror. Sometimes it's action. Um, it's never romantic. Um, and sometimes it's comedy.
Just really quick. Your mic.
Thank you.
Mhm. What's one thing you wish you knew before becoming a professor?
How much time it takes to prep.
How do you think gamification will impact business education?
I think that's the next frontier. I see that is going to, within the next 5 years, I think it's going to take over. And I'm really curious to see how it unfolds because there's so much potential there.
What's a global issue you think business leaders should focus on more?
On business literature, is that what you said?
What's a global issue you think business leaders should focus on more?
Oh, creating sustainable wages.
Sustainable ways to.
Wages.
And finally, if you could give your students one piece of unconventional wisdom, what would it be?
I think that would go back to the one about know your parents. Get to know your parents before it's too late.
Definitely.